Welcome là. The learning atmosphere. We're going to build an HTML accordion without using any JavaScript. Yes, no JavaScript at all. We'll rely purely on HTML and CSS. And we'll even add smooth animation using keyframes. Let's begin. First, what is an accordion? An accordion is a vertically stacked set of sections. Each section has a header. When you click the header, it expands to reveal content. Click it again and it collapses. Many developers use JavaScript to toggle classes for this. But HTML already gives us a built-in interactive element that can do this for free. That element is the details tag. Inside the details tag, we place a summary tag. The summary becomes the clickable heading. The rest of the content inside details becomes the expandable section. When the user clicks the summary, the browser automatically toggles the open attribute on the details element. No JavaScript required. So the basic structure looks like this in concept. A container. Inside it, multiple details elements. Each details element contains one summary and one content block. Now let's talk about styling. By default, the details element has a small arrow marker. Most browsers show a triangle icon. We can customize or remove that using CSS. To remove the default marker, we target the summary pseudo-element and set its display to none. Next, we style the summary to look like a button. We add padding. We give it a background color. We change the cursor to pointer. We make the font bold. And we add a transition for smooth hover effects. Then we style the content area. This is the content inside details but not inside summary. We give it padding. A background color slightly lighter than the header. And maybe a border for separation. Now comes the interesting part, animation. By default, details instantly opens and closes. There's no smooth transition for height because height changes from 0 to auto. And CSS cannot animate auto directly. So how do we solve this? We use one of two techniques. The first technique is using max height with overflow hidden. When details is closed, max height is 0. When it's open, we set a larger max height value, large enough to fit the content. Then we apply a transition to max height. This creates a smooth expanding effect. But there's an even cleaner method, CSS keyframe animation. We target the open state of details. When details has the open attribute, we apply an animation. We define keyframes. At 0%, opacity is 0 and transform is slightly translated upward. At 100%, opacity is 1 and transform returns to normal position. This creates a smooth fade and slide effect when the accordion opens. If we also want animation when closing, we can define a reverse animation by targeting the content and applying transition properties like opacity and transform. Now let's break this into smaller conceptual code explanations. Concept 1. HTML structure. We create a wrapper container. Inside it, 3 or more details elements. Each details has one summary element. Below summary, we place a div for content. That's it. Concept 2. Basic styling. We reset margins and paddings for consistency. We style the body with a font family and background color. We set a fixed width for the accordion container and center it using margin auto. Concept 3. Header styling. We style summary. We remove the default marker. We give it padding, background color, border radius, and cursor pointer. We add a hover effect that slightly changes background color. Concept 4. Content styling. We style the content div inside details. We give it padding. We add overflow hidden. We prepare it for animation. Concept 5. Animation using transition. We define a transition for max height and opacity. When details is open, we increase max height and opacity. When closed, they return to 0. Concept 6. Animation using keyframes. We define keyframes called fade slide. At 0%, opacity 0 and translate y -10 pixels. At 100%, opacity 1 and translate y 0. Then we apply animation fade slide with duration around 0.4 seconds, ease timing function, and forwards fill mode. Concept 7. Polishing. We add border radius. We add subtle box shadow. We space each accordion section with margin bottom. We adjust time.